Hello everyone, and welcome to the introduction tutorial on Audacity. This tutorial is brought to you by Jamie, Melissa, and myself, Joseph. This tutorial is going to be very basic, and it's going to talk to you about what Audacity is, what Audacity is typically used for, and it's going to go through a live tutorial demonstrating how to actually use Audacity. Audacity is a free open source cross-platform audio software. It was designed for multi-track recording and editing. It started in the fall of 1999 by Dominic Mazzoni and Roger Dannenberg, and it was released in 2000, so it's over 15 years old. Audacity is used for post-processing of all types of audio. You can also use it to record and mix albums. The main features include the following: recording and playing back sounds, editing such as cutting, copying, pasting, and undoing, importing and exporting numerous file types such as .waves and MP3s, multi-track mixing, digital effects, and basic audio adjustments. Before we actually start the live tutorial, I want to go through a basic layout that demonstrates the skeleton of Audacity and makes you feel a little bit more comfortable. So if we actually see this screen when we first open up the program. It gives you some links for further help if you feel like you're going to need it after this tutorial. And then we have our hotbar at the top here that says File, Edit, Tracks, Generate, Effect, Analyze, and Help. The only ones that are really important are going to be the following. You have your File one, which is dealing with opening projects, saving projects. You have your Edit, which is going to be dealing with cutting and pasting, and those are what we're going to be specifically using for this tutorial. And then you have your Effects, which are going to be things such as fading in, fading out, making your voice louder, making your voice quieter, making your voice deeper, making your voice maybe more high-pitched. And then we have our second little hotbar here that's going to be used in the tutorial, and this is going to be where you have your pause button, your play button, your stop button, and your previous and your next button. Now these are a little bit important because what they're going to be used for is we're going to have multiple tracks going on. We're going to have some up here, we're going to have some down here maybe, and this is going to be used if I want to maybe focus on this track up here, this track up here. So maybe this is a sound of a horse and this is a sound of a grassy meadow, and I want to make the horse deeper, so I use this previous button so I can edit with the horse's voice, and then I can use the next button to edit with the grassy meadow's voice. And then you have your record button, so if I wanted to record something live, maybe I'm an amateur artist and I don't have money for expensive audio equipment, I can download this program and just have a basic webcam, and I can record my song through this program as well. And now before we get into the live tutorial, what you're going to need is you're actually going to need Audacity. Here's the link if you want to follow along, and then you need a .wav file. This is going to be the file type that we're adding. A WAV is an audio type which is best used for recording and editing. And then you have your MP3 file type, which is best used for distributing, and these are things that usually download that you see on your iPod. And I also provided a link for the following sample that I'm going to be using in the editing in the tutorial itself. So now we are going to begin the live tutorial. What we want to do is we want to open up Audacity, and now we're going to see a window that's very similar to the window that we had before, going through the basic skeleton. And then I'm actually going to kind of click the top here and make it smaller, because what we're going to do is we're actually going to drag our little .wav file that I provided in the PowerPoint earlier. We're going to drag it in. And then it's going to give you this little warning message. This warning message is very important to you, not in the sense of this tutorial, but it's going to be very important when you use it later. Basically, you have to choose an import method. Do you want to make a copy of the files before editing, read the files directly from the original, or don't warn again and always use the choice above? So you always want to make a copy of the files before editing. In case you do something wrong and you save it and export it, you're going to be screwed at that point because now you don't have an existing copy of the original. So always click safer just to be safe. And so now what we see a bunch of blue lines, and they look sort of foreign to you if you've never messed with this program before. Now, but remember though, we already know what all this stuff up here is. We know what this stuff up here is, and we don't really need to worry about anything else for the rest of this tutorial because we want to go bit by bit. So let's actually just talk about what's going on here. You have the name of the title. In this case, they provided some weird array of characters and numbers, and then you have a plus or minus. This is going to be your gain, so if I want to make it really louder, if I go all the way over here though, you're going to see a lot of distortion. And then I have the left and right speaker here. Now this is kind of cool if you wanted to add some effect to where if I drag this all the way over to the left, it's going to come out of the left speaker more. If I drag it all the way to the right, it's going to come out of the right speaker more. And that's cool for an effect such as wah-wah, where it's a constant back and forth of the left and right speakers. But let's actually listen to what I downloaded. Now it's just a simple piano tune. The piano tune's pretty nice actually, but now let's say I have this, but I feel like it's a little too slow. So I want to speed it up a little bit. So what we're going to do is we're actually going to add an effect, and we're going to click change the speed. Now you have a slider here, and you want to change it by some percent. Now this is going to happen with most of the effects that you have. A little window is going to pop up with the name of the effect here, and it's going to talk to you about what you actually want to do to it. And now we can get into what all this stuff is here. But let's say we just want to make it faster. How much faster do we want to make it? Well, maybe we want to make it 25% faster. So now what we're going to do, before we actually do that though, we can preview it. And I like that, that's not bad. But actually, now I changed my mind. I actually want it to be slower. I want it to be a little bit more dramatic. So we're actually going to go negative 25%, and then we're going to actually just click OK, because I'm super confident that I like how that sounds. So now we play. Now that's not bad, but maybe I don't want to do that anymore. So we can actually click our edit button here, and we can do the undo change speed, which is very nice because now we're back to our original little format here. And so just to demonstrate what left and right do, this is only going to be important, but if you have a headphone, see now it's coming out of the left side, now it's coming out of the right side, and then we're back in sync. And then we're also going to talk about the gain a little bit. This is going to make it sound terrible because it's adding more pitch to it, and this is going to make it sound almost like nothing's there. And now we want to stop the track, and then let's do another effect to it. Maybe let's say let's do a fade in of some sort. So now when we click play, it's going to start very quiet, and then it's going to build up with intensity. Not intensity as in the actual song, but intensity as the volume's slowly rising. That's all a fade really is. And then we're just going to undo that, and then we'll also do a fade out. That's going to do what we saw earlier, but it's only going to be noticeable later on. So it's slowly getting quieter. And then we'll edit that because we always, just for the sake of the tutorial, I always want to, have a clean slate to work with here. And then let's maybe do something super weird to it. We can add the wah-wah effect. We don't have to worry about what any of this is. Basically, all it's going to do is it's going to make it come out of the left speaker, the right speaker, the left speaker, the right speaker, the left speaker, and so on and so forth. So if I click play, it sounds super weird, especially if you're wearing headphones. But we're going to get rid of that. But now let's actually record something. So I'm going to record my voice talking over to the piano. And all I'm going to do is I'm just going to hit that record button, and you're seeing that it's opening another audio track. That's really cool because now what we have are multiple audio tracks. And I'm going to cut this recording here. What I'm going to do is I'm going to click the stop button there. So now I have my recording, and I have there. So if I play them, and it's going to play both things, and then we're going to go, and you're seeing that it's opening another audio track. That's really cool because now what we have are multiple audio tracks. And I'm going to cut this recording here. So there we go. So now what we have are the two little tracks. But let's say I want to go focus on this one here. So this next track button, see the little slider, the little line that's happening? It's actually going to the end of the track. So if I had another little song here, I could play it. These two are lined up at the same sort of frequency here. But yeah, that's basically what that would do. The next button would shift you over all the way to the end of the song and then focus on the next song that you have in the list. And then so let's save it now. I'm happy with the results that we have. But before we do that, though, before we save it, I want to talk about some things on this program that weren't really in the basic skeleton. You have basically your input device, your output device, your basically Windows stuff. Don't really mess around with this too much. And then this is your playback volume. This is your recording volume. So these are things that you're going to have to kind of debug yourself if you feel like the program's a little too loud or you're talking too loud. And this is the type of recording you want. You really want to leave that on stereo. Stereo is the one where you can kind of mess around with all the 3D environments of sound. So let's save the project. We're going to save it as an Audacity project. That means that we're not putting it out as a song to the public. We're just saving it as a project. That doesn't mean that I can't necessarily listen to it again, but that means that if I want to have this program, if I want to have this song, I need to have Audacity at this point. So we want to click OK, and we're just going to save it as an AUP. and we'll just click save, and that's fine. But now I'm happy with what we have here, so I'm actually going to export this audio. I'm going to export it as a wave, and I'll just put this to the desktop here somewhere, and then we're just going to call it test 1. Okay, so now that we have that, and make sure you're going to get a warning. It's going to say your tracks will be mixed down to 2 stereo channels in the exported file. That's perfectly fine. Don't worry about it. That just means that it's going to be coming out from both sides of your headphones. So you're going to be perfectly fine there. And now, though, what we're going to see here is we're going to see a bunch of little tags and a bunch of values. So the artist name, Joseph, and this is actually good for distribution. So if you want to show your friends, the track title, we're going to call it Piano with Voice. And then the album title is going to be called Super Cool Fun Stuff. And the track number is going to be track number 1. This is all stuff that I'm just making up. The year, 1996, greatest year ever. Genre, of course it's hip-hop. No doubt about that. Ooh, forgot the H, so we'll do a little bit of H there. And then comments, I don't really want to do any comments. And we're just going to click OK. So now we exported it as a .wav file. And what we're going to see, though, it's on my other monitor, but you'll see here that I have a file called test1wave, and we can play that, and it's actually going to be, and all I'm going to do is I'm just going to hit that record button, and you're seeing that it's open what I recorded. So yeah, that was the basic tutorial. Thank you so much for watching, everybody. I appreciate it. In summary, we talked about how Audacity is used for basic, cheap audio operations. It was operated since 2000. We also went through a basic skeleton to brief you about Audacity so you weren't overwhelmed by what you saw when we did the live tutorial. And then when we actually did the live tutorial, we imported a WAV file, which was the piano song provided with the link. We added effects and distortions such as fading. We talked about how you could shift the audio to the left speaker and the right speaker. You can add gain, which adds more pitch, which can lead to distortion. And then we also talked about changing the speed to make it faster and slower. We also added a layer, which was our recording in this case, which meant that we could play multiple sort of layers of sound or tracks at the same time. And then we also talked about how saving an Audacity project is different from exporting the audio. Exporting the audio means that I am done and I'm ready to ship it out and distribute it to friends, family, and so forth. Saving the Audacity project means that I'm not necessarily done with it and I need to save it if I want to then mess around with it later. Some closing notes I want to talk about before I end this tutorial would be cutting and pasting audio can be tricky. Always create backups. You might end up scrapping out a lot of the audio that you did not want to scrap in the first place. And if you have access to a backup, that makes your job a lot safer and more efficient instead of having to redo everything. And then Audacity can do tons more, and I could do a bunch of tutorials, but the best way to learn is to experiment. Just mess around with buttons, but make sure we have those backups. And good luck, and thanks for watching the tutorial. Appreciate it.